Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, attraction coach and founder of The Goddess Next Door. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson, and welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. Swamiji, the hip guru's guide, has been helping people feel better naturally since 1974. He is an Amazon #1 best-selling author and spoke to the White House Alternative Medicine Commission about Ayurveda. He is a breakthrough expert helping entrepreneurs achieve balance and fulfill their life vision. And boy, do we have an awesome show for you today. But before I talk with Swamiji, I'm thrilled to invite you to join Spark Society, your virtual home to nurture your spirit and soul. Spark Society is a monthly lifestyle subscription bringing you a gorgeous source of inspiration, thought-provoking information, and entertaining content mixed with a bit of magic to help you create and live a life you love. Each month, you'll get a themed collection of spiritual brilliance and amazing resources to explore different areas of your life and help you thrive. As a Society sister, you'll get everything you need delivered to your inbox, full of exclusive content coming to you from myself and your favorite Awakened Goddess Show guests. Each month, we will explore a metaphysical or lifestyle topic in a fresh, fun way, and you'll have the opportunity to connect with other fun, aspiring, spiritual-minded women like you. So come on over to theawakenedgoddess.com, click on the Join Spark Society button, and join us for just $1 for your first 2 weeks of subscription. See you there. Well, welcome, Swamiji, to the Awakened Goddess Show. I am so excited to have you join me today. We're going to talk about balancing wellness with Ayurveda. So welcome.
Thank you, Angela. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to know, what was your inspiration to become a Swami, for one, and why you decided to study Ayurveda?
Well, these are usually not decisions like, I'll buy a red car, that kind of a thing.
Uh-huh.
It's when I was a freshman in college back in the 70s, my parents were in a car accident and they didn't survive the accident. And, well, that obviously put me into a state that actually turned out to be very difficult to bounce back and get into college again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was struggling through college for a few semesters, and then I saw a sign that said on campus meditation lecture. And nowadays that doesn't sound like anything because yoga, meditation, you can go to any club and spa and find that. But back then, nobody knew about this stuff. And I think we knew the Beatles went to India, and I think that was about all we knew.
Yeah.
They did meditation. So it was very new, but it said, like, find happiness or find peace. And I said, that's what I need to find. So I went to that lecture and I liked what I heard and I started to meditate. And for the first time, like in an instant, I found some inner peace. And the way I describe it is, it's like it's raining outside and you get wet. So if you stand on the porch under the awning, you don't get wet, even though it's still raining out.
Mm.
So even though I had this tragic experience in my life, I was somehow had a little protection from it. And it is an astonishing experience. And I went on, I decided, because that was so important after college, I said, I want to do this, help other people. And so from 74, 76, somewhere in there, I started teaching the meditation and the yoga. And just in the process of living, and I was actually living in New York City at one point, and I had read a book on Ayurveda, and I had a flu, like everybody gets the flu in the winter. And I went to this Ayurvedic doctor, and he said, take this, put this powder in your water, drink it up. So I did that. And again, in an instant, I was just balanced.
Mm.
And I didn't even know I was balanced, Angela. I mean, I didn't even know I was imbalanced until I saw myself get balanced.
Wow.
So every time these instant things happen to me, my life changes. My parents' death, the meditation, the Ayurveda. And so I said, I have to learn about Ayurveda. And that's how I got to that point and started studying it. And I went to India for that, met my guru there. And again, on one of my visits, he recognized me as a Swami. I didn't say, oh, that's a choice of mine, but I was extremely happy that he saw that in me.
Yeah. Wow.
And then as years went on, I went to the Amazon rainforest and stayed with an indigenous tribe, and the shamans there told me I was a natural-born shaman and healer. And during one of these ceremonies, I started to get all these downloads, and that started all the new downloads. So now I had the ancient wisdom of the India, and now the new downloads for the new age. So pretty well rounded.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So what exactly is Ayurvedic, like medicine or?
Ayurveda is technically means the life science of life. And it's everything about life that helps you have a connect balance with the earth, the nature, the elements, the spirit, mind, body, soul coordination. So it involves what you eat, the colors, the aromas, how you cook, the things you do for your life purpose. And what's really cool about Ayurveda is it's personalized. So instead of saying everybody eat vegetables because they're healthy, some people, if they eat broccoli, will be healthy. Some will get gas from broccoli. Mm-hmm. So they say, okay, so each of us are unique, and so we look at the elements as a common denominator. So some people are more air people, some are more fire people, some are more water people. And air people tend to have too much air. Like so in the head, you hear of people space cadets. Mm-hmm. It's too much air in the head, so they have to do things and eat things that are more fiery and watery to ground them, to balance them. If you have a heat rash or a heartburn, there's too much fire in the body. So you eat foods and do habits that are cooling by air or water. Mm. And in that way, you bring a balance to your life. And bringing that to the new age, I find it's a foundation for growing into the new age. That we keep our bodies and our lifestyles very connected, earth to our bodies and minds. And now we're ready to receive the new information coming to the new age.
Oh, I love that. Gosh, it's such a complicated word, and it's such like at the core, it's like such a beautiful, like sensual experience of natural balance and flow and energy. Gosh, I think I need to do more research. Cool. So, okay, you have written 3 books, and I know one of them was the Amazon #1 bestseller. That was the Ayurveda Encyclopedia. Wow, yes. Congratulations. That's so exciting. And your latest book is The Stress-Free College Student. So it sounds like that really was birthed out of your own experiences in college and how you found meditation.
What happened was I learned that the students today, 80% or more have anxiety and depression, and 50% are dropping out. Mm. And I said, why doesn't anybody know these things? Because in literally 60 seconds, we can do any number of tools to reduce their stress, and usually for good. And it just sort of poured out of me very quickly. Mm. And I've started to share it with the students around the country, and amazing results. They just love it.
I bet. I'm so glad that you wrote that, because I think back when I was in college, I couldn't tell you now what the name of the course was, but it was probably the most impactful class I took, and it was where I learned how to do guided visualization. And the instructor walked us through a guided visualization exercise. And I'm a very visual person, and so I was like, whoa, this is like amazing. And I was like so relaxed. I was just like, I was altered when I came back. Wow. And yeah, and it's interesting how, even though I had that experience, I still took a journey to kind of really integrate meditation into my life. So how do we use Ayurveda to gain more clarity and release the stress and anxiety and depression like you're talking about?
Okay, so I'll group healing into two, or balance into two types. One is the daily lifestyle that may or may not happen in a minute, but it'll start to happen in 3 days or so. So it's still relatively fast. So if a person is anxious, there's mantras to calm you down. There's yoga to calm you down. Colors, if you wear the colors of joy, they uplift you. Mm-hmm. If you use aromas that take you out of depression and bring you joy, that helps you. So if you love pets now, even the colleges around finals time, they're bringing pets in as a stress reduction. Mm-hmm. Going out in nature, so many simple, inexpensive, or even free things to do. Eating healthy foods, fresh foods, whole grains, staying away from just white sugar and junk food is enough to start feeling miraculously better in 3 days.
Wow. That darn sugar, I think that's like the gosh, sugar, white sugar.
Just white sugar. Now so you really bring out a great point, Angela. You can switch to something called sukuna, mm-hmm. which is a whole cane sugar. So I'm not saying stop eating sweets, because if you eat sweet, you are sweet.
Yes.
But just switch from the white sugar. See, the white sugar it's white because all the nutrition has been taken out of it. So you put that in the body spends the energy to digest it, and at the end it doesn't get paid. There's no energy. So mm-hmm. It's like you're working an 40-hour week, and at the end of the week your boss says, I don't think I'm going to pay you this week. Mm. It doesn't feel good. Yeah. So all you're doing is just taking a whole cane sugar that when your body digests it, it has vitamins and minerals that feed the body. And specifically for the air and the fire person, they need some sugar in them, healthy sugars. Mm-hmm. So it's a very important thing to have. Honey, raw honey is good for air and water people. Mm. Maple syrup's good for air and fire people. These are all natural, healthy sugars, healthy sweets. Ayurveda says as healthy as the food is, if it doesn't taste good, your body's not going to digest it. So right there, it tells anybody who's on the fence thinking, well, I don't want to do something healthy because it doesn't taste good. You can have your cake and eat it.
Yeah.
As long as it's got succonot in it or maple syrup.
Yeah. So is that where cravings come from? Like when we're craving like a fat or a salty thing or a crunchy yes. thing or a sweet thing.
Absolutely. That could very well be the issue, that you're needing something that you just choose it from the group that will balance you. So for example, if somebody's craving a sweet, if it's an air person, they could have maple syrup. But if the water person is craving a sweet, they need honey. And that's where Ayurveda gives you that nano insight, that really master insight of how to really take control of your life with just little tweaks.
Mm-hmm. And this is why we need the encyclopedia.
This is why. And it's a big 680-page book, so you can all read it and lift it up and down. You won't have to go to the gym. It's a full workout encyclopedia.
It is. I'm very I'm always fascinated by the subtleties and the details. And so for you to say that, a fire person needs one type of sugar and an air person needs the honey, is right. that because bees are flying around and they produce the honey? Is that why?
Okay, so it's a great question. Honey is slightly heating by nature. Oh. It's slightly a fire-based food. So each food, so like chilies, onions, garlic, are fire-based foods. Mm. So a fire person, if they haven't been eating it their whole life, they may be getting heat rash, hot temper, heartburn, things like that. So we say, well, that's not so good for you. Have more cooling things, more leafy greens. This whole raw food movement is really better for fire people and a little bit for the air people, not much. I mean, the water people, excuse me. So again, you take any situation and just fine tune it to who you are. Watermelon has excess water, it's not so much good for the water person. They already have enough water. But give them some citric acid, which is heating, which will reduce the water.
Wow, so fascinating. Wow.
It's just pulling the curtains away from a mystery, which is just the laws of nature, the health laws of nature.
Mm-hmm. So let's kind of walk through, say a person's anxious, and how would we kind of know where to go with that?
Sure. Okay. So we look at the whole person. I would ask the person what they're doing, what's their lifestyle, what foods are they eating. If they're eating very dry foods, potato chips and granola, if they're not eating lunch, all these things are increasing air in the body. Mm-hmm. And that's going to cause gas, constipation, which can cause anxiety, and just the excess air in the brain can cause anxiety. So in that case, I would start with that idea for that person. If they are in a job that's causing stress and anxiety, we would look to life purpose. Maybe they don't love that job. If they're rushing and hurrying and not sleeping, we would look to the lifestyle. It really boils down to the lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And what you're eating, how you're sleeping, how's your activity, are you spending any time in nature, are you socializing? It's really not rocket science, Angela. Mm-hmm. It's very profound.
Yeah.
But it's very simple.
Well, and I love it. Absolutely love that, because it's something, it's so great to have things that are very practical that right. You can, we don't have to get really complicated and try to figure everything out. It's like, let's just break this down, make it really simple. Let's look at, these different areas of our life and what's going on, what are we eating, and then make adjustments. So,
we grew up in a culture where that the doctor had all the information, and it was some difficult thing that they had to study many years for. And that was only because it was we were moving from the 40s and the 50s into the 60s into chemicals in our food and pesticides and stress levels. And we went away from the natural lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And so we started to develop all these new conditions. Now, clearly, Western medicine helped with serious illnesses in the past, smallpox and polio and things like that. But for most of what we need today, we're really a society of stress. We have no time. We don't eat natural foods. It's plastic foods.
Plastic foods, yeah.
And so we wonder, why are things not working out? Because we're not in nature. We're not eating natural foods. We don't have time to breathe. We don't have time to enjoy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And fortunately, that cycle, that life is over, because the Industrial Revolution is coming to an end in the next 5 years. Mm-hmm.
Time for a change.
Time for a change.
Yeah. Well, and, you recently helped me out because I had carpal tunnel surgery and elbow surgery all at the same time. Crazy me.
Well, it was a discount, right? 2 for 1.
Yeah. And, just to get the listeners up to speed, they gave me general anesthesia. And being a redhead, apparently they need to double dose me or something. Mm. And after the surgery, the first week, I was so hoarse I couldn't talk. And I swear I feel like something happened to me on the table. Like I was altered, because when I was coming off of the anesthesia and stuff, the next couple weeks, my taste buds changed, everything. Like things that I was eating and drinking beforehand, I was completely turned off of them. One of them was half and half in my tea, which was interesting. And then I found the next week I was feeling so anxious. I had so much anxiety coming up. I could hardly breathe, shortness of breath. And I remember doing an interview at the beginning of the second week and I was so winded, I couldn't even complete a sentence. And, you and I, we were supposed to have our interview together, and I just was like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. And, you were so kind to send me some energy and healing energy. And I know that one of the things you started doing recently are heart blessings, so energy sessions. So why don't you tell us what those are and kind of just
Sure,
that.
sure. It's the most fascinating work that builds on the foundation of an Ayurvedic lifestyle. And it started when I was in the Amazon rainforest I think it was 2010. During a ceremony, something came and blew into my heart, and my heart was healed, whatever that means. And I said, oh, I can do that. And I came home and started showing people what I learned. And they started feeling good. And the first two people actually found relationships for the first time in decades. And not that it's only for that, but that was happening too. So
I'm sure people are going to start calling you now. It's like, oh my gosh, he's the love doctor.
The energy heart doctor.
Yeah.
And then I started doing group circles and saying, let me look at what's happening. Let's try this out. And we had a group at the local health food store, and somebody would call in and say, I have a hepatitis B. And I said, everybody take a moment and send blessings to that person who wasn't even in the room. Mm-hmm. And she called the next week and says, the doctor told me my hepatitis B is gone. Mm. So, oh, wow. We had people in the room, we'd share what we experienced. So somebody who they just on a fluke came into the session and said, I closed my eyes and I saw a blue door. I don't know what that means. And then the person says, oh, I have a blue door. So people who never even entered this realm before are realizing they have these intuitive gifts, mm-hmm. which is very fascinating. And we had a friend of a friend's mother had a recurrence of leukemia. Again, we did the blessing. 7 days later, the doctor says, I don't understand it. You don't have a trace of leukemia in you. Wow. And just to be clear, I'm not saying that happens every time.
Right.
But those were some of the most phenomenal experiences that we had. Mm-hmm. Somebody called me and says, my friend's daughter was at a concert and she fell and she's in a coma. Can you send her prayers? So I started sending the blessings, and the nurse called her mother and says she just came out of the coma. Mm. And at that point, I didn't know what I was doing in the sense of I couldn't teach anybody else. And it wasn't happening as fast to the more important conditions, the more serious conditions. Sure. So that's been starting to happen now more just in the last few weeks. I have a fellow on the West Coast, sort of near you, who's in a coma. And every day they hired me, every day I send blessings. And then I Facebook and I say, okay, today his crown chakra opened. Mm. And then the person writes back, oh, he was just tapping his head on the top of his head. I wondered what that meant. So we're getting all these validations. Yeah. And yesterday, the 30th day, he started to make some sounds for the first time. And the nurses and doctors are saying he's making amazing recovery. Yeah. They've never seen anything like that. It's the most rewarding thing I've ever done, to be able to just sort of sit in the subconscious or in the fifth dimension and just read people, tell you what your son is telling you, what your loved ones or your ancestors, and making real changes in a person, mm-hmm. and bringing them into what some people are calling the fifth dimension now, the new world.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I can tell you when you sent me that energy, you didn't tell me like right away. And I clearly had this sensation of, I definitely felt the shift, and I found myself kind of like, I felt really light, and I was kind of, my mood was elevated, and I was kind of like skipping around, and and it was just like, yeah, it was like this, almost like a light switch that happened. And so, and then afterwards you had said, oh yeah, by the way, I sent this to you. And I was like, oh, it felt so out of the blue. Yeah. So
that's great. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I do try to document the times now for people.
Mm-hmm.
And because I want to know how well I'm doing, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I keep challenging myself to go deeper and help more difficult, more challenging cases, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I just worked with somebody in India, a woman in India, and there they still have this very strong male-dominated culture, and the women are really relegated to second class in a lot of ways. So the challenge for me was to get this person who felt that constraint to make a change in herself. And it happened in just 2 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, wow, this stuff is really working well now. And I credit, the times really that the world is shifting enough that we're in the 4th or 5th year, 3rd or 4th year of the new age.
Mm-hmm.
And every day it keeps getting easier and easier, and I learn more and more. So it's like every day I talk to you, it's a newspaper. Hey, here's the new energies for today.
I think
this is good, tasty. I'll put it on my toast.
You should definitely do that. I think people would love having like a daily like YouTube or little check-in. Yeah,
I think I'd call it the Daily Download.
Daily Download. I love it. The Daily Download has been birthed on the Awakened Goddess Show.
We heard it here first, folks.
It's an exclusive. No pressure.
I better set up the camera today.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying that you're able to help people shift into the 5th dimension.
Right.
Can you give a little, like, what does that mean?
Sure. Yeah, and I actually can because I've been thinking about this lately.
Yeah.
The easiest thing is picture that when you were born, you were given a piece of wood and 2 legs, and you sit on that. And, you have to balance. You can't lean too far forward or too far back or else it's over.
Yeah.
Well, the 5th dimension, we're given 2 new strands. This is what they tell us. And so I'm giving some logical words and some intuitive things. We're given 2 new strands of DNA. And what I see is it's giving us 2 more legs on that piece of wood. Now we have a flat bench to sit on.
Mm-hmm.
From that sturdiness, we can do so much more now because we're not thinking, well, I'm limited here. I can't do this or I can do this, but then it's that duality. If something good happens, something bad's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But now there's no duality because we have a firm foundation. We can do things that we just saw in movies. We can change our bodies. We can grow our bones. Our bones can become elastic. This is what I'm feeling and seeing. I can't show you that I'm 6 feet tall now, but I feel things are changing. I feel my bones are becoming elastic. I feel this extra 2 legs of the chair. I feel this fullness of my life in front of me that I never felt before. And my clients are saying the same thing in various ways. Each has their own experience.
Yeah.
So things that suddenly are starting to feel possible.
Ooh, I love it. Yeah, and then you talk about, this daily download. So
right.
How does someone know if they get a download? What is that like? What does it feel like?
Okay. So shall we try a download?
Well, yes, I would love to. And I'm sure the listeners would love to play along too.
Sitting up straight in your chair.
Yep.
So this download, you don't have to close your eyes. If you're driving, it's very safe. You don't even have to do anything. It's just noticing if you have an itch on your head, that's really all we're going to do. So all I'm going to do now is you can think about sort of stepping back just a little bit from your life, just pulling back from the drama of life. Drama is a time and space thing. Mm-hmm. 5th dimension is taking us in the eternal. So just pull back from the emotions just a little bit so you feel a little bit of space. And now imagine you have your DNA is starting to move. You're feeding love and enlightenment concepts to your DNA. And if you can, if not, that's okay. You might see your DNA moving and feeding and changing because DNA moves every time it gets fed. And you might see your DNA starting to be fed and yum, 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 yum. And it's so happy it's building ladders because it's getting so much energy. And that ladder rises up your torso, up into your head, and it might come out the top of your head. So you may feel some energy just up your spine. You can put your attention on your spine and feel the energy rising. Maybe you'll feel like or sense a cord of light in your spine. That's your true nature. That's your source energy. And you feel that as you see that source energy, you start to feel maybe your head tingling. Some people feel just expansiveness, and that's great too. Some people will feel like the Buddha head, I call it, which is where if you've seen the statues of Buddha, he's got those petals around his head. It's called the 1,000 lotus petals of the opening of the crown chakra. So that means you're experiencing enlightenment as that's happening. Your crown chakra is opening. Maybe you'll see an umbrella open above your head. Maybe you'll feel this light, a beam coming up through your head or down into your head. Some people say they feel light or they feel like they're floating. What are you experiencing anything?
Earlier, I felt like an almost kind of like a rush of energy that went up from my chest up towards my head.
So that's it. So that was an activation. So anybody listening, I just activated their fifth dimension. Another way to say it is I've programmed enlightenment, so everybody had at least a dose of enlightenment, if not clicked into the fifth dimension in a more permanent way. And awesome. Some people also call that the DNA activation. So
all right. So everybody now has 4 legs to their chair.
That's right. You can
stool.
Feel more confident, less anxiety.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure that you can listen to that several times, and
just listen to the show over, and you'll keep getting that.
Yeah. Ooh, that felt delicious. So that's what's considered a download.
The download that was something I got as a download. But if you felt like a sense of a column coming down into your head, feeling, ooh, that's peaceful, or oh, that's joyful, or ooh, that's delicious. If you feel anything, you're feeling an expansion. These are forms of downloads of information. So the information is either peace or love or expansion. It's only positivity. It's downloads of positivity. So now downloads, we're communicating through words right now. But as we get higher up, we'll really be more empathic. We'll be telecommunicating. We'll be communicating through our minds and hearts. So when we have a download, it doesn't have to come in words like, today at 3:00, go to East Main Street and Canyon Avenue, and somebody's going to give you an envelope. It doesn't have to be that specific, although it has been known to happen. You're saying, oh, I feel so much peace now. I feel so much lightness. That's the message. That's the learning for you. That's the gift that's coming. It's all gifts now. It's all nurturing. The higher spirit, the higher source, the angels, whatever it is you connect with, that's it. We've made it. We're in the new world. When the Mayan says the calendar is ending, it was only a couple of white people who incorrectly said, "Oh, that means the world's coming to an end." But the Mayan said that's never been the issue. And what I personally got just recently is that the reason the calendar ended is because time ended, which means we've transcended the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is time. Yeah. So we don't need the fourth dimensional calendar per se. And we're in the fifth dimension. As I'm saying this, everybody's getting the download from that, getting programmed from that. So some people, if they have not sensitive to this at all, it's a seed. For somebody else, they may feel like their brain is opening, the sky is parting. Yeah. And it's beautiful. And really, we're out of the world. Time and space leaves duality. We have been blessed. We are in the new age. And it's so much clearer today than it was in December 2012. And it's getting clearer every day. So they dream high, dream big, put down your fears of, I'll look stupid and sound stupid if I talk like this. I put that aside, and I'm having such a gas. I can't, that I can talk like this. I think I've wanted to do this my whole life, but you couldn't do this 60 years ago. You couldn't talk like this. They'd lock you up. Yeah.
Yeah. I figure with this show, this is like I just go way woo, and nothing's woo to me. I mean, So it's just like you go out there and just talk, and I love it because just in the conversation we are playing in the quantum field and
Right.
bringing that in. So just so
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, this is a show. Your show is one of the shows that's actually helping getting the message out. It's lighting up the grid. It's connecting people to the grid and to themselves. And at least for me, there's a lot of people who are very conservative when I explain it in language that they get. So they may say, well, I don't know what that means, but I feel a little bit lighter. That's all you need to know. It's all semantics.
Yeah.
And it's only well-wishing. There's no, you do this because that's no good. That's where the distinction, that's where the separation occurs. That's where the friction occurs. So it's all love. It's all acceptance, loving everybody. And the more we get into this, the more the tipping point happens and everybody gets into it.
Oh, it just gets better and better every moment.
That's it. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So stay grounded, eat your Ayurvedic food, keep your feet on the earth as your spirit soars, and you'll be fine. That's really the message.
Yeah, because the momentum itself, like you say, everything's shifting on, constantly, and it's like, how do we stay grounded, and how do we keep up with the momentum and move and make that shift?
Right. So if you get in nature a little bit every few days, eat healthy foods, do the things that you love to do, that you feel called to do, and it'll be the flower of your life unfolding. The flower doesn't have to do anything to unfold its petals. It happens as long as it has fertilizer and sunshine. And so as long as we eat healthy foods and the light, the source light, we connect, it's like breathing. It just happens.
Yeah. It's like going back to basic self-care and nurturing ourselves, and not look for things or seek things outside of ourselves. It's like, how do we take care of our body, our mind, our spirit, and support it so it can express in, however we're supposed to be sharing and expressing and becoming.
Now, the other exciting thing is that the indigenous peoples talk about this time as the prophecy of the eagle condor. And the eagle represents the science and technology, and the condor represents the heart and the spirit and the intuition. And they say in every cycle, one of the birds is in charge and beats up on the other one. But in this cycle, they're flying side by side. So spirit and science are coming together. Yeah. So materialism and spiritualism are becoming united. So while we work on our internal self, we have the opportunity to create a spiritual, material world as well. And I was just reading a book recently by a rabbi that when they talked about the Messiah coming on a donkey, there's another meaning for the donkey in Hebrew, and it means materialism. Oh. So it's the time for us to master spiritual materialism. So there's no duality. There's no good and bad. There's inner spirituality, and now we have the opportunity to create careers that help the world, that bring joy to the world, that help Mother Nature, that help fellow humans. And there's no limits. That's the abundance consciousness.
Yeah.
Law of attraction, all those good things. Law of alignment.
Yeah.
We did some of the law of alignment before, aligning ourselves. That's what that was.
Yeah, and alignment, boy, we can certainly make that complicated and get in our own way so much.
You just watch an old Star Trek when they say, "Beam me up, Scotty." That thing. That's really what alignment is happening. That kind of energy look.
Yeah. Cool. We're gonna have to just visualize that. Beam me up, Scotty.
I'm giving it all I got, Captain.
So you mentioned how the heart and the science are coming together. So are there scientific ways of validating Ayurveda?
There are, and I just recently found what I feel is one of the first tools that validate the prophecy is a program called Veda Pulse. In Veda Pulse, instead of an Ayurvedic practitioner taking your pulse with his fingers on your wrist, this technology has a clip that clips on your wrist, takes your pulse, and it feeds the information into your software. And it's all based on what's called heart rate variability, which is a Western terminology. And it's the cutting edge of Western medicine, how they get information about the heart. We used to know, oh, you have this many heartbeats, this is a healthy or unhealthy heart. But now the technology is so advanced that cardiologists can see from the start of the beat to the end of the beat, there's a whole pattern. And that pattern gives so much more information. So these brilliant scientists and researchers in Russia made that the foundation of the software. So it's completely 100% Western medical. And on top of that, they used an algorithm, which I have no idea how they did that, so that it could look at your Ayurvedic constitution, your air, fire, and water, your doshas. They could look at Chinese meridians. They could look at the chakra energy system and the aura. And it's all tied to the heart rate variability. So now the doctors who are looking at it say, oh, okay, I understand what you're saying because it's quantifiable according to the heart rate. So we're bridging. It's the first technology I know that's bridging the gap between science and spirit.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How do we get hooked up to that?
Oh yeah, just go to you can go to Veda Pulse Scan. That's the company, VedaPulseScan.com, and tell them I sent you. I am just in full disclosure. I am their Ayurvedic advisor, so nice. I do get some benefits by people buying the system. But yeah. I only sell and talk about things that work for me, and I believe in them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, definitely.
They can have sessions with me if they're in my area, or get a group of people and fly me out to your area.
Fun. Gosh, yeah. that'd be fun. Get together and have a party and
a 5D party.
5D party, yes. The next generation of parties.
Yeah.
So let's talk about female reproduction. How does Ayurveda address female reproduction and all that good stuff?
Yeah. Well, the female reproductive system is basically related to fire, blood, heat, fire, things like that. And if it's balanced, everything works properly. The two biggest issues are PMS and menopause. And a few years back, they were the big deal about some medical drugs for menopause. But the reality is there's herbs in Ayurveda. Those are two of the easiest conditions that I've worked with. Arthritis, diabetes, PMS, menopause. Those are like within 3 days, within a cycle, women are noticing they're feeling better. And it's just using herbs, natural herbs that work on the hormones, balance the hormones. Or I'll throw in some herbs for the brain because that's where the hormones are produced. And of course, you're eating the right foods. So it's a combination of the foods and the herbs that really get things going. Although I like to use herbs only as a reminder of the body. The body goes, oh, right, that's what I'm supposed to do. And then we fill in the blanks by getting you back into nature, getting into the career you love. And then the herbs are not as important after a while because it's just a Kickstarter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, with like PMS, you definitely can have some anger come up and
that's hot temper, that's heat. although different, so the air person will be more anxious and worried. The fire woman will be more angry or impatient. The water person, the water woman, will be more lethargic or gain water retention. So it's very simply laid out. You understand who you are, or a combination. You might be an air fire person and have a little of both. And so that's where you would stay away from the foods that aggravate it. And I had one woman, she had uterine fibroids. Or no, she had a cyst. She had a ovarian cyst. And they gave her some herbs for that. And she'd go to see her doctor, who would take ultrasound. And she says, I see your cyst is shrinking, but it must be very painful. She goes, no, I didn't even know. So there's some beautiful part to all of the Ayurveda. Ayurveda is really, it's called I call it the nurse, the mother, the nurturer, because it gives to you what you're missing. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so gentle, whereas other systems, Western systems, cut out or suppress. And then even more than that, the Western holistic says sometimes you have to feel worse before you feel better. They call it a healing crisis. But we don't say that in Ayurveda because we take into account your constitution and we tailor the therapeutic, the balance for who you are. So it just gives you what you're missing. So you just start feeling better. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, I'll say, so how are you? And they go, oh, I didn't even realize it, but now I think about it. Yeah, that's all gone, because it's natural. Natural is safe. Natural is better.
Yeah.
All around.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's talk about something more subconscious. So how can it help us with our limiting beliefs or patterns? Or like maybe some like limitations or blocks that we have?
Okay, so that's where we start to step into the energy world. As long as we're following our Ayurvedic food plan and our bodies are sound and happy, then we're following, or we want to follow our life purpose, that's where the blocks start to come in. That's where I would start to work with, I used to work with things like hypnosis and NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and tapping, emotional freedom technique, because those would work in a minute or two. Mm-hmm. But with the new downloads, it's even faster, it's more profound, it's more complete. We get really to the root. And the person doesn't have to do anything, they just get it. Mm-hmm. So I would say, so we could do that if you'd like. If you're game for it, we could take a priority issue if you feel like sharing that with people. Or I could just describe it either way.
Oh, I think experience is always better.
Okay.
So I know that a lot of people struggle with money. So how about we do that? That's a very common concern of people.
Great. Yeah, very good. And mine too. It's just it's energy. So just intellectually, money is a form of energy. So as a natural born healer, if I help somebody, in return, they give me energy. They give me money. If I don't help them, I say, don't pay me, because there was no exchange of energy. Mm-hmm. So that's in its simplest form.
Sure.
So let's take an example. Do you have an example of where you might feel stuck with money? Some people have fear of success and some have fear of failure. Some will feel they start to undermine themselves if they get too successful, or they'll become bad people, or
I think that I block it from coming in. So the receiving end. So I do a lot of action-oriented things to create and be of service and all of that. But then to allow the money in, there's a block. It's like, I think what's underlying it is I feel like there might be something it's like, what do I have to do to receive that money? Like there's an agenda or something, there's an attachment with that money.
So what kind of thing do you think you'd have to do? Would you have to work harder or become a different person, or
I don't know. I think it's just
is it a self-worth issue?
Something I wouldn't want to do.
Okay, this is a very common, and it's a great example. Is it that, so wealth is, I'll say it, you tell me if I've got it right, that somehow the more money you make, you have to actually do things that are not good. You might have to become a bad person in some way, whatever that means.
I think maybe it's I'm taking money from other people,
taking advantage of people. Mm-hmm. So if you make money, somehow you're taking advantage of people, even though you're not, even though it's people, oh, thank you so much, and you're charging a fair price. Okay, so can you sort of feel that maybe you feel where it is in the body, you're taking advantage of somebody. Where can you say where you feel? Is it in your spine, in your back? Is it in your heart? I feel it in my chest. In your chest, okay. And if you were to rate it from 1 to 10, 10 being an unbearable discomfort or pain, and 1 being manageable, what kind of number would you make that?
The more I focus on it, it's like increasing with like anxiety. So like
good,
6.
Good. 6, great. Okay. So think about that for a moment. And now just forget about it and put your mind on your spine. And just run your mind up and down your spine. Did that just ease up on you?
No, it's like I feel like pressure there.
Okay, good. So there's the pressure. So let's see now. So what I'll do is I'll start to look around for, you run your mind up and down your spine, and I'll search out energetically where that pressure might come from. But I'll start with the general energy healing. And I'm also going to program your mind to be aware that it can happen so quickly that you don't even realize that, because that happens a lot. Okay, so now how does you feel any release of the pressure? Is your mind aware that the pressure has been released at all?
Mm-mm.
No, okay. All right, so now I'll look to the past, your past part of your life, and look at your body, mind, and spirit to see if there's any kind of stress there, and we'll strengthen you. So we'll strengthen you to the idea that you can make money and be a good person. You're not taking advantage of people. So as the money's coming in, you're getting stronger. You're feeling stronger about that idea. And we're deleting any weakness that comes from that idea. Deleting that out completely. You're growing in strength. Checking that for your strengthening your body when you're accepting money. Strengthening your mind and the belief system, the perception that taking money is actually a validation that you've done some real good for people, and only it's a token return of what you've done. And deleting any feelings that may weaken that, and checking your spirit from the past and strengthening that. As money comes in, it's your spirit is growing, and the other person's spirit is growing as well. So you feel that energy connection. You feel any shift right there? There was an energy connection. As you receive the money, they receive something too, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. That was their way of thanking you. Oh, I just got this. Here's the money. Thank you. Did you feel the shift? Yeah, you're nodding your head. Okay.
Yeah, it did decrease a little bit. Mm-hmm. The pressure.
Good. So now let's look in the future and see if the issue is as you go forward, something would happen. So let's look at the physical body going forward, strengthening your physical body. You're making money. A lot of people know about you and they want to pay you, and you're feeling just, wow, that's a validation that I am helping people. It's a token. It's not even a law. And so you're getting stronger for that, and we're deleting any doubts and misconceptions about what that really is. And I feel that melting away. I don't know if you feel that melting away. Mm-hmm. I actually feel it like in the gut area. So I know you're talking about the chest, but so moving into your mental perceptions, and it's sort of like about fame, and that fame somehow they're going to catch on to you. And that's a very common issue. So we're going to just say, well, the fame only comes because of word of mouth. Wow, look what she did for me. You got to go see her. And we're so grateful. So fame is really for you in this case. It's love. It's a spiritual family, if you will. And moving into the spirit, so you're really strong there now. And taking out any weaknesses and looking at the spirit. So the spirit is growing, and it's connecting your spirit to the whole of humanity. So the people around you, their spirit and your spirit, all growing together by using your gifts to help people. And the money just gives you the energy to have your spirit grow further. So how does that feel now? We took her in the past and the future. Mm-hmm. Is there any...
I felt some of the pressure go away, and it felt more of like, I felt like definitely an energy release, where it was, because it's like anxiety or fear that I feel, and then I felt it turn into more like a burst of energy radiating out.
Great, perfect. That's source light. That's source light. So I'm programming that source light in to replace those other things now. And I'll also program in the 10 highest vibrations that I'm aware of in the universe. So it's health, wealth, wisdom, youth, peace, joy, abundance, gratitude, love, and enlightenment. So those are the new vibrations in you that we're seeding and growing, where the other ones are now gone. And just very quickly, we'll just sort of scan your ancestors, past and future, and give them the same, what we just worked through, because these are usually patterns that are passed on consciously or otherwise. So they're all realizing, their perceptions realize this is all energy transfer, and they're being cleared out now, past and future, and they're enjoying that and strengthening them. They now see the opportunity to move forward with their lives. And just checking any karmic levels, clearing any possible karma there, and deleting anything there that weakens the perception, gives you the heavy feeling, clear that out. Have Michael clear that out, and strengthen you from any karma there. So do you feel kind of solid now? I feel like some solidity is coming.
It was interesting when you hit on the karma, then I definitely felt like my hands are tingling, so the energy is like dispersing, and
excellent. Yeah, your energy is flowing now.
Yeah, I can feel it radiating down my legs,
That's
out
great.
to my arms. How cool that we can just ourselves help, not just our own reality and what's going on for us, but our ancestors and our future and past. And I love it.
Yeah, your children, your children's children, and then the world, the people that are paying you because you've freed them up, their energy is tingling. Mm-hmm. And it's a circuit. It's a positive spiral instead of a negative spiral.
Ugh.
So, yeah,
this is
tingles.
So cool.
Yeah. This is a 5D party, folks.
5D party. All right. Okay. So what practical tip would you like to share with the listeners? I mean, we've done so much fun, fantastic stuff. It's jam-packed full. But what's one place for them to start?
Look for something happy every day. Either see it or make it happen. And this is actually a scientific study. If you even force a smile, just forcing it starts the production of the happy chemicals in the brain, the happy hormones. So fake it till you make it is a real thing. Fake happiness, if you can't find it or generate it, fake it, and you start to become happy. Mm-hmm. So you deserve happiness. It's easier to find happiness every day. And internal happiness, everything we've talked about. I don't mean like 3 Rolls Royces, but 1 Rolls Royce maybe, but 3 don't need.
Yeah.
So find something simple or big, small or big, every day. You wake up and I'm smiling. The sun is shining. Go out and say hello to people, good morning, and smile at people, and see if that's not infectious.
Yeah.
So joy is infectious, and look for joy every day, and you will grow in that more and more in this 5D world.
Yeah,
the 5D party. This is the age of celebration, according to the shamans all around the world. Excellent. So look for something to celebrate every day.
Ooh, yes. And I'm celebrating right now just how amazing I feel. Great. I mean, I've had, as we're just talking, I had more goosebumps and just, whew. I love it. I think that the listeners should just keep coming back and rewinding and listening.
This is going to be your most listened to show until someone else comes on and does something higher than this, even because the world keeps changing.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Well, Great. So how can people find out more about you?
Sure. Come to my website, The Hip Guru, THEHIPGURU, thehipguru.com. And that's just a little way of, keeping it light, because I'm a monk, but I don't want to take myself too seriously.
Yeah, I love that website. And
there you'll find I have courses on how to develop this intuitive energy healing. I call it the Medical Intuitive Training Program. I have a vital longevity program for seniors who can regain youthfulness in their 50s and 60s and further. And private sessions. I have an Instagram page, and every day I post at least twice. And I get lots of people love all the things I put up there. And I think now that we've announced it, I may have to start my daily download YouTube magazine. Newspaper.
Yes. Well, I will make sure to put links to everything on your show page. And yes, when you do have your YouTube channel up and you start your daily downloads, let me know and I will put it on the show page as well.
So awesome.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Swamiji, for joining me today. This was absolutely fantastic. I had so much fun.
My pleasure.
Yes.
From my heart, it's really much pleasure.
Yes. And
thank you, Angela, for having me.
You're definitely the hip guru. That's like the perfect name for you. Oh, awesome. So now I'd love to hear from you guys. The most awesome discussions happen after the show over at theawakenedgoddess.com. So get yourself over there and leave a comment right now. Did you enjoy this episode? If so, subscribe to the show. And of course, it would be absolutely amazing if you shared this with all of your friends. And if you want even more incredible resources, come on over to theawakenedgoddess.com and sign up for email updates. And until next time, goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Awakened Goddess. I hope you enjoyed today's show and took away something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at thegoddessnextdoor.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.